Hey Groovers, welcome to the Four Post to Bed, and I'm exhausted, utterly exhausted. I have been trying all week to do a narration of chapter 1 or strata 1 of the book of Immersion, and it has led me to believe that voiceover artists are superheroes because the problems I've come across. Anyway, if you want to find out about all that, go to the other podcast, which one is it? The telltellerclub.com official podcast, the I Serverland show. Pop over there because there I go into sort of a bit more detail about that. But yeah, just really, really feel like I've been to university and I've done 3 years' work in 1 week. Launching this TV thing is way harder than I anticipated. Doing a longer film, I mean, I should know. I've got a master's in film, but it's been... Do you know what, guys? It's been so long since I did anything that I guess I was serious about. Do you see what I mean? Whereby every still of the movie was divine, and every note of the music was divine, and every word that I spoke was divine. And when you seek that sort of perfection, which you should do if you're a creative artist, when you reach that pinnacle of your career where you feel that you can confidently produce something that's working on all levels, it becomes increasingly stressful. So I've spent a week on something I thought I could do in a day. That was silly. And this is the problem because we're all making shorts. And I've been making shorts now for about 2 weeks, a la Neil Patel's advice, which was to create 4 a day. And they're so quick and they're so easy and they're cute and they're funny and they're, I've got quite attached to them. But they don't take any intellectual development. And therein lies the problem. Is what I want to talk about just briefly. The way that we're consuming learning, which is sort of different to knowledge, if you like, the way we're learning to learn is becoming problematic because you don't learn anything from doing something that's very quick and very mainstream and really quite unexpressive. Because remember, making shorts and such like, it's not really expressing anything. What you're not really giving yourself, are you? I mean, it depends what you're doing, obviously, but you're really creating something for an audience rather than creating something for yourself. And I think that's really dangerous as a creator, because as a serious creator, you really should be indulging yourself and your beliefs, your belief system. I felt a couple of years ago that I was enlightened. My daughters laugh at me, but I did feel that. And that the serious expression of myself would from now on be through this culmination of a life of experience, but also, the culmination of excellence in multimedia. And it would all be about art. And I'm using art as an umbrella term for music and literature. So, and I felt that I had a duty, if you like. I know it sounds a bit pompous, but a duty to let everybody know that the greater good that we have of ourselves is artistic. It's art. Animals don't make art. Morons. Oh no, I can't say that. I take that back. I didn't mean people morons. I mean, people. Oh, how would I describe it? The world is full of humans who are behaving like animals, and it's really bad for the world, and it's really bad for people like us who don't have that propensity to be animalistic in their drives, in their appreciation or lack of it. People who don't appreciate the arts are ignorant. They're completely ignorant. And the importance of understanding creativity and understanding the arts and art takes you out of the animalistic arena and it elevates you. And that's what I mean by being enlightened. Because if you don't think about the enlightenment of yourself, you may as well just leave me alone. You may as well go and be like an animal. You know what I'm talking about. I think you probably do if you listen to my podcast. Look, I don't harp on about this stuff all the time, but I want it to be evident in my work and my books and my writing and the artworks that I make. I hope it's evident. I really do. It's not evident enough. I know that because this has taken me 3 years. This book has taken me 3 years, and I haven't really done a chapter. I mean, I've got all these chapters, but you keep editing it. You keep thinking, does this say is this properly saying what I want it to say? And when reading this novel, I mean, I've only done 2,000 words, but reading it causes you to understand that it's not communicating correctly, that there are bits missing. And, I mean, obviously it's the initial chapters. It's a bit like a foreword, I suppose. There's no conversation in it. You haven't met the characters yet. You're being described the characters in an introductory situation. Do you see what I mean? It's a really important part of the book because it sets the stage. But reading it, and I just think, oh, that's wrong. So I've had to change so many bits of it. Excuse me, a bit frog in the throat today because of all the talking. And which means I've got to change the Amazon file on Kindle, which means I've got to change the paperback. I'm doing another paperback now, a new one, because you can't have all these different versions of the same wonderful artwork that you've created. Oh, here comes Romeo. Come along, darling. Do you see what I mean? It's all got to be the same, I think. Yes, there can be different versions of it, but you don't want a crap version of your baby, the thing that you've produced that will enlighten the world, that says exactly what you want to say to the world about how wonderful the enlightenment can be for us all. And you don't want to have anything that's detrimental to that message. Do you see what I mean? So I become bloody obsessed, guys. Totally obsessed with it. And now the syntax, the importance of syntax, the importance of sound effects, the importance of background music I've always known. Do I put sound effects in? Do I have a different delivery for the voices? I was thinking about, initially I was going to do all different plugins for different voices. Well, that's completely stopped. I mean, you're talking about something that would take months because each vocal has to be individually edited. You shouldn't edit them on the same Logic Pro project because you've set up for one voice, and if you start piddling around for another, you can change everything. So the key here is to have all the vocals separately on different projects, and then do the mix downs, and then bring them all in, and then edit again at the end. This is months of work already. I can't do that. But also, as a mother, somebody who's read a lot in my life and has done thousands of podcasts. I mean, they're all on YouTube if you want to go and listen, from a decade ago. Some I'm not afraid to sort of speak, but when you read a book to a child, you can kind of narrate it in such a way that maybe, for example, if you had a gnome, you might go, do you know what I mean? But if you don't do it through your own voice, it becomes a different beast. And we're used to, hopefully you're used to, as much as I am, stories being read to you by the mother. And more now the father. Because I was born in the 60s, so I don't recall my father ever reading me a story. I think when I got older, he read me his own poetry. But he's a very vain man. I mean, I'm vain myself. That's not a criticism of him. But he was a man of the 60s. And of course, the men of the 60s were very vain because the world told them that they were very important. The world told them that in the family environment, they were the pinnacle of the family existence, that they were on a pedestal and that everybody else kowtowed to them. This was the man of the 60s. When you watch movies from the 60s, you see that. Their psychology was more important than any other psychology. Children and women didn't get a look in because it was the man. In all the movies, it was the man who was having this existential crisis, But it was always him. It was always about him. And my father was a man of his time. Of course he was. And, you will never take the time out of the person. Never. You can try. You can be modern. I consider myself a really modern woman. Always. But I can't take the time. I can't take the 60s out of my existence, my life, who I am. That would be impossible for me to do. I believe truly that even if I lost my memory, I would have the personality traits that my society, my culture embedded in me during those years. And unlike a machine, this is what makes us so much more fabulous than a machine. Unlike a machine, we are the time that we spent. We are it. But you talk about time and how it's fleeting. There's Romeo going over the mic. How it's fleeting, how it comes and goes, but it doesn't actually. It stays with you. Time becomes threaded in to the weave of your personality and the weave of your psyche, and there is nothing you can do to get rid of it. You can't unpick it. You can't burn it off. It's impossible. So, in that respect, I guess it's important to be a bit more forgiving of people who came before. And it's not in a way that, you feel sorry for them or anything like that, but understanding, the place in the world from where people come helps you. It certainly helps you to forgive some of their behaviours, I think. And I've certainly done that with people that I've experienced in my life. Look, I'm not going to forgive the people that hit me. Not going to happen. But you can certainly understand things like why men during that period, and it hasn't changed, still feel that they're so important. And it's because we've told them they are. You can't get away from that. You need to stop telling them. You need to tell them we're equals. That's the crux of it, isn't it? You need to say, if you've got a plinth, I'm going to have a plinth. And the kids are going to have a plinth. We all need a plinth to stand upon, to narrate our lives, to be heard, to play our instruments, to tell people what we think. This privilege isn't one single white man's privilege, is it? No. Anyway, I just wanted to do a podcast about speaking and narrating and how much respect I have for people who do that, voiceover artists. I'm trying again today, and I would quite like in the future to have a very recognisable voice that's read lots of books and to get lots of money to read brilliant books, beautiful books, short stories, but, all of that. I would really like to do that in the future. I don't know what happens to the voice when it ages. I saw a review earlier. Somebody was saying a review of a reader, and they said she has a lovely youthful voice. And I thought, what the fuck does that mean? What does that mean? What has youthful got to do with being a female orator? Please. Anyway, I'm in a good mood, and telltaleclub.com. I'm doing up the website for iserverland.com today, now, as we speak. Quite excited about all my websites. They all look so beautiful. Catch you later, guys.